All right, guys, and here in the top right-hand corner of the map, I'm sorry, more at the 3 o'clock position, we'll call it that, of Metropolis.
Yeah, it's about 3 o'clock.
If this map were not diagonal, if it were rotated from north to south, I would be right, but as it is, I sound like an idiot. It is our blue Zerg player, CrazymoviNG.
Your mind wants to see that, you know?
Yes.
It wants to see it, like, tipped up naturally, so that's why you say upper right.
And when I play on this map, that's what that's kind of how I think of it to myself, but anyway.
It's getting in the way again.
Down here at the 6 o'clock position, our blue Terran player from the team Evil Geniuses, winner of the last game, it is DeMusliM.
That's right. Sending that SCV out to put down a supply depot, and then he will do some scouting. Because
you need that to build things?
You totally do, yeah.
You used to not, but then that was silly. Because people could proxy things at the very beginning of the game. 6RX Reapers.
What do you mean it was silly? It was awesome.
6RX Reapers?
Yeah? 11 supply Thor?
Ugh.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
Back in the good old days.
The good old days?
The good old days.
More like the Dark Ages.
Dude, I would proxy Thor Rush on Steps of War so much.
Yeah.
It was a ton of fun. I would, and I did, and
Who am I kidding? Back in the early days of the game, all I did was like 7.5 minute stim timing pushes.
Yeah, well, who didn't really? Yep.
Should still do that, really.
No, you shouldn't, because Stim is slow now.
That's true. It takes about, what, 8 minute 15 or something like that for you to have the same force, basically?
Yeah, it's a little bit slower. They nerf 4-gate, you know, a similar way as well. It doesn't hit quite as fast anymore, things like that. So, we've got close by air positions, and maybe something that both players might be inclined to use. We did see DeMusliM go for Banshees last time, and Infinity 7's CrazymoviNG could use it for mutas.
Could certainly, but
it's not the best map for mutas, but.
And DeMusliM, once again, going for a 1-rank gasless fast expand. Does have his orbital command on the way now.
Yeah.
And it looks like, yeah, he's going to do it once again. He tends to favor putting up the command center as quickly as possible rather than dropping down the second supply depot and walling out any units that could make their way into the main. And last time he decided to follow this up, you know, we already mentioned the Cloaked Banshee, but it was Reactored Hellion and Cloaked Banshee right afterwards. We'll see if he decides to go down the same route or if he'll switch things up.
Yeah, worked okay last game. Didn't do too bad. He did slow down his opponent. He did make him kind of use a little bit of extra larva in a way he didn't really want to. So that's what you need to do early in the game to get those little advantages, which lead up to kind of much bigger advantages towards the end game.
And once again, double gassing on exactly the same supplies he did last time.
Yep.
So everything looking very, very similar to what we've seen out of DeMusliM so far. CrazymoviNG, on the other hand, not sure what strategy he'll end up going with. I remember some of his better runs at MLG and things like that, but I wonder what his approach is going to be in this game. You kind of mentioned the possibility of higher tech on this map. Because your third base, unless you're very diligent about knocking down those rocks, is pretty exposed against an aggressive Terran opponent who either wants to do some early drops or just any sort of early aggression, really.
Yeah, despite the difficulty of that, a lot of Zergs will still try to take their third relatively early. You know, in PvZ especially, they tend to do it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see CrazymoviNG play a little bit longer two-base style. He does tend to like to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, his name, he kind of lives up to his name. You know, he likes to be aggressive. He likes to be all over the map. So that's the type of player that, you know, plays in a very Leenock-esque fashion. You know, Leenock, July, all those guys, they like to stand two-base. Two-base muta is generally the thing. Or you can just go for large amounts of lings and upgrades, too. I mean, and then take a third and tech, so.
Well, we'll see if he quad gasses or if he decides to move down some other path. Of course, was already his macro's very, very good. Sitting at 44 supply at the 5.5 minute mark. I mean, that was just unheard of not too long ago, and it's good to see that, you know, I mean, I just remember when it was like, you're doing good for yourself if you're at 50 supply at 8 minutes, you know? We've really come a long way since then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if any of the pro players were ever at that point.
Yeah.
That may just be us.
It's true.
Who knows?
It was the good old Trump videos that I used to watch. Trump, man.
That's where I picked up the 3 barracks from, too.
Yeah, dude. Trump is who got me in to competitive StarCraft. That man is a boss.
Cool.
Yep.
So,
Jeff, if you're out there listening, you're amazing. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I have him on Skype. I should know that.
And it looks like it is going to be Cloaked Banshees once again for DeMusliM.
I like it. That's cool. I mean, CrazymoviNG probably is not expecting it. it's kind of neat. Getting the lair at the natural, too.
But he did quad gas very quick.
Yes,
and his evolution chamber is already on the way. So at the very least, he's going to have lair tech and an overseer before the cloak ever finishes up.
Yeah, he should. I mean, he probably won't make that overseer immediately, but he'll be able to do it right away once he does detect that there are cloak banshees. Detect, no pun intended, of course. But
yes.
Yeah.
Many puns intended, actually.
Yeah, I kind of did intend that one. As I was saying, the intent wasn't there at the start of the sentence, but once it started coming out, it was like, oh, yeah, this is a pun, and I'm just going with it. Why not? They just kind of happen naturally,
You tend to, but that's why we love you.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
I love third command centers, and DeMusliM is building one of those right now.
It's true.
It's going to...
We have a... oh, sorry. My apologies.
No,
I was agreeing with you. I'm not trying to cut you off. I feel so bad.
Go ahead. Carry on. It's all right.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay. Well, hey, there's a Baneling Nest coming up now for CrazyMovin as his lair finishes up. Spire right afterwards.
Spire. I like it. I like Spire tech. I don't know, man. I just love Mutalisks.
Yeah.
I applaud the Zerg players that still go for Muta. Nest T still likes Mutas, I'll have you know. So, it's still a viable option. I mean, it's not quite as strong in the current metagame as Infestor play is. But they'll do better against Hellions than that Queen will.
Yep, that's true. Well, he hasn't taken out... Somehow this resilient Creep Tumor has been fine the entire time, which I find fantastic.
Oh, there it goes.
I feel bad. Well, you know what? I'm curious if CrazyMovin decides to play the strategy as his Queen falls from the Hellion, but as his creep spread is actually quite good as well. If he decides to kind of do a July-esque style now and just kick on the afterburners with that killer instinct, can just produce huge swarms of units. But here we go. First two cloaked Banshees making their way in right now.
Yeah, and I don't think CrazyMovin is expecting this, really. There's no Spore Crawlers, nothing like that. He's going to go right for the Queen, immediately chase her out. And, is he actually going to get the Queen? No, he does turn around at the end. He wants drones. That's what he wants.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to be able to get a ton of those. We do finally have an Overseer coming up now. And there are 4 Mutas on the way, but of course that gas is not quite there. So it's not an overwhelming pack of units to begin with.
No? Okay, there's the Overseer. I was like, where's the Overseer? And, the Transfuse on one Queen works out, but that one's going to fall before the Banshees do. Oh, it barely lives with just 68 hit points, which seems like a little bit more than I thought it had, but... It still is alive anyway.
That is true, but now it's finally going to be cleaned up. Those Banshees are on eye level with the Mutas, but they can't fire at them, unfortunately. But still, the economic damage was pretty severe. 24 workers killed. Yeah.
The gun points down. I mean, how else do you need to explain that, really?
Well, you would think that they would make their attack helicopters a little more versatile, and they would have them point horizontal.
Well, Terran technology tends to be pretty much single-use technology. You don't get a lot of variation. They're like, well, our Marauders can't shoot up, but we have Marines for that.
That's true. But Vikings can do whatever the hell they want.
Well, but it takes time, though.
I suppose.
But
they can still drop to the ground and be like, yeah,
Did you read the single player too? And do you realize how dangerous it is to pilot a Viking? They talk about pilots getting crushed when the Viking is transforming and stuff. Like, what kind of design is this?
That's just poor design. Like, why the hell
you need to dodge out of the way when your cockpit transforms?
Terran engineering is so shoddy.
I guess so. Mules fall apart.
I mean, Mules are coolish. Don't do any damage singly. You would think the Zerg would spend all the research. Like, we have this thing that flies around at 1,000,000 miles an hour, hits ground, air, and bounces its shots. We should find a way to give it more damage.
Nah. Nah, I don't think so.
That's no real reason. Just
not really.
Well,
okay. Second factory on the way for DeMusliM, so he will be bolstering his siege tank count very quickly. That's generally what you're seeing after a lot of Terran openings these days. Whether it's Bio, Marine Medevac, or it's Banshee or Hellion, you generally see 2 factories fairly quickly to get that siege tank up to where it would be if you had started making them earlier.
He's going to try and go after the armory here. If USVs are being brought to repair, the armory is going to survive. So a little bit of a wasted opportunity there for CrazyMovin. Wasn't able to pick off anything of consequence. A few Banelings sitting in the middle of the map, though. I will certainly keep my eye on those. Look at this creep spread, though. CrazyMovin at 13 minutes is sitting outside of his opponent's base.
You need to spread your creep because the map is dark and full of terrors.
Yes.
That's right.
The night is dark and
fog
full of terrors.
You don't know what's out there, man.
It's true. Well, Banelings, evidently.
The White Walkers.
Yes. Banelings, man. That's
true.
the last thing you want. Yeah.
You can run from, well, yeah, I suppose you can run from banelings too, but not if you don't see them underground.
They kind of waddle. But yes, being hidden is a good thing. Oh, it looks like CrazyMoviN going to be able to get away there, saving that Mutalisk that was very low in health to begin with. And, you know, this was the point in the last game when DeMusliM was starting to attack, but feeling a little bit less secure this go-around. I've got to say, man, CrazyMoviN, despite being on relatively low supply, is bolstering a very powerful Mutalisk army. Oh, does lose one Mutalisk there, unfortunately. Maybe playing cross-server, unfortunately. Yeah. But he's establishing his 4th base, going relatively untouched. He's going to be on 22 Mutalisk with 1/1 upgrades.
Yeah.
And that creep spread, man. I just can't talk about that enough.
Yeah, CrazyMoviN loves his Mutalisks too, man. I mean, that's why we see the +1/+1 for them already. I mean, he's the type of player that prefers to go heavy Mutalisk, low Zergling, Baneling, which if you can get in and do harassment with is great. But if you can't, if DeMusliM defends well against this, when the final battle comes, it's going to be looking pretty good for DeMusliM because those mutas are not going to be terribly helpful.
Well, it looks like this missile turret is going to fall pretty quickly. Engineering Bay coming under fire as well. Ooh. +2 attacks is going to finish up, though, so unfortunately just a little bit too late. Oh, and the Engineering Bay is going to hold up as well.
Can't believe he saved that. That was so close.
Yeah, no kidding.
That creep spread, though, like you said, man, I mean, that is pretty amazing creep spread.
This is ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about like 20 minutes. He'll have the entire map covered. He's even spreading it to parts that just don't really matter at this stage of the game, but
they
why
might
not?
Matter later.
That's right.
It may matter later. And you can tell he wants to go into that higher tech right now. He's getting gases basically everywhere, getting gas first. That generally should be the priority at the pro level. You'll see a lot of people put, you know, in the lower levels of StarCraft 2, a lot of people put emphasis on getting things on minerals quickly because that looks like a base that you're getting something out of. But in reality, at this stage of the game, gas is usually more important.
All right, well, that is a lot of mutas making their way in. Yeah, they're going to be able to pick off add-ons so quickly and actually one-shot turrets. Oh, unfortunately, 3 mutas going down, though.
How many is that?
And now it's 22.
22 plus 3 more on the way, so total of 25 Mutalisks for CrazyMoviN. That is getting to be a little bit crazy levels of Mutalisks. Oh, he scanned.
Wow, he's got to scan a lot of things, actually, because this creep spread is going on for days.
Oh, that's one of the problems with spreading creep so far, actually, is that it does entice Terran players to scan, and then by scanning, see your Baneling nest, even if they weren't expecting it.
I think...
Whoa, gotta be careful.
I think that's why CrazyMoviN didn't spread that creep any further, because he had active tumor sitting there for a very long time, but he wanted DeMusliM to bite on those Marines. But anyway, he can't assault that head on for now, and the creep is going to recede pretty quickly.
Yep. Got to be careful there. Another scan from DeMusliM, taking out some more creep. And you can see that with this style, with the heavy Mutalisk style, you need to harass. You need to do damage. Because if you don't, I mean, look at this. Yeah, he's killing Marines, but he's losing mutas very inefficiently here. I mean, it's going to be rough. He's got infestors on the way, though, so he may not be completely out of it. Oh, but the mutas.
He picks off one tank, though, and, I mean, he did free up a bit of supply. He's going over to infestors now. Okay, replenishing some of that with Zerglings, not the most cost-effective, but at the very least, he delays this very strong push from DeMusliM and allows Hive Tech to be started and infestors to pop out.
Yep, he's given himself time, like you mentioned here, but the mutas this game just did not work out terribly well for him all in all. And oh, look at this. Nice surround, though, by CrazyMoviN. The siege tank sieging up late. This is exactly what he needed. Great fungals.
Oh, wow. Just decimates that Marine line. That was beautiful. Now, the sheer power of DeMuslim's army allows him to have a bunch of units left over, but CrazyMoviN just traded incredibly cost-effectively there.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you can be in a good situation like DeMusliM, and then suddenly you're not paying attention for 1 second and that happens. But, or that happens. You lose a few extra mutas. Pretty good Marine spread here. Doesn't really want to get fungled anymore. You can't blame him.
I like the inclusion of the point defense drone in that army as well. I mean, just stopping those mutas for a little while, certainly worth it. Fungal's hitting a couple of units now with the siege tanks. Oh, decimating the infestors. The rest of the army for DeMusliM will finally get cleaned up, and Hive Tech is on the way, and it looks like CrazyMoviN has been banking resources for that. I don't know. Is he going to go up to Greater Spire right away? Is he going to throw down an Ultralisk Cavern? We'll certainly find out here in a bit.
You know, I feel like he's going to... Well, I mean, he could go either way. He only has 1 Spire up. He could go for Greater Spire. You know, he has a pretty good economy going in the it will be Greater Spire. That does make the most sense. Some Zergs would go for Ultralisk in this case, but, you know, I like the choice to go Greater Spire a little bit better. DeMusliM, though, not out of it by a long shot. In fact, he's actually a little bit ahead on supply right now. his economy has not taken a hit since the start of the game. Like, I don't even know if he's really lost any SCVs. How many? Yeah, he's lost 5. That's basically nothing at this point. So he's still in good shape, too.
It certainly is. And we do have that Greater Spire coming up. It's about halfway done, but of course, Broodlords are still really, really far off. Oh, and the 6th base does get revealed as well. That'll force it to be canceled. Nope, just killed. Whoops. 300 resources lost there.
Yep, not canceled. But he's got like 2.3K, so at this particular moment, it's okay. But you generally don't want to lose those minerals.
Right. That 300 resources may not matter now, but when you have to remax your army and you can't produce an additional, was it 56, 12 Zerglings or something like that, certainly could hurt. So.
Now, the interesting thing here is that you notice the supply getting higher and higher for DeMusliM and not quite as high for CrazyMoviN. He's spending a lot of time on corruptors, on teching, on upgrades right now. And this attack, actually, we'll see how strong this is. Yeah, CrazyMoviN has to pull back. Doesn't quite have enough to take on DeMusliM in a heads-up fight right now.
But if he can delay long enough, there are a few Corruptors on the way, and very shortly after that, they're going to be Broodlords, and that is going to be a major difference in this game. It looks like DeMusliM going to start rolling his way up. Eats a couple of fungal growths. Those are pretty good. The Banelings rolling in behind as well. That was a great set of fungals and Banelings from CrazyMoviN, and that may be all he needed to delay to get those Broodlords out, and there they come.
Yep, 6 on the way right now. Not a lot DeMusliM can do about it. He's got Thors on the way and some Marines, but nothing that is really all that effective against the Broodlords. And it looks like he'll get these medevacs away, but that is about it.
All right, 12. Those few mutas are going to chase after him. Even the Zerglings. I love how they move to that rally point. There we go. Finally, a few Marines are starting to catch up, but now the Broodlords are just finishing. They are very powerful, already on 1-1 upgrades, and 3-3 for those Broodlings. It's going to be up very soon.
Here's the thing. Let's take a look at the unit counting station real quick. If you look, there are no infestors out right now, so those Broodlords are only as good as the infestors that give them time to do their damage, right?
Right.
There are, I believe, 2 infestors on the way from the production queue that I saw just a moment ago. 3 infestors on the way, right? So it's going to be some time before CrazyMoviN can really be aggressive. And DeMuslim's going to have a little bit of a window here where there's not a lot of Banelings, not a lot of infestors, just mutas flying in circles. He could take advantage of that.
That's going to make him dizzy. You really got to watch out whenever you do that.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty good timing for DeMusliM if he decides to move out in the very near future. We'll see here. But yeah, he needs to do it soon if it's going to happen.
I was about to say, because now there's another 3 infestors just about to pop up. That's going to be 6 here in just a second, right? Yeah, 6 here in just a second. And now there are 10 Broodlords. That is a staggering amount of firepower. The Mutalisk still drunk.
That's like, if we just give up, we're just going to do this forever.
This is so much fun, guys. All right, well, let's see here now as CrazyMoviN's starting to move in front with his own siege units. Broodlord's going to start firing on those Marines pretty quickly. There are a good number of Vikings being produced and 3 more starports on the way, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. DeMusliM needs to play the waiting game right now. He's got like close to 80 Marines out, so if he splits them well, that's still a lot of damage he can do.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And we'll see here as the Thor can fire a million miles away with the Javelin missiles. So hits a couple of the Broodlords, but takes quite a while for them to actually do damage. Oh, good fungal on the side. And Baneling's starting to hit a good number of the Marines as well. The Marine count you were just talking about down to less than 30, now less than 20. The Broodlords have done quite a bit of damage. And DeMusliM really on his last legs now.
Yeah, he's got 5 Vikings on the way. But if he could have delayed until they got out, that fight would have gone very, very differently. As it is right now, CrazyMoviN looking like he may just be able to push to victory, but we'll see. I mean, those Vikings, there's not a great answer to those yet for CrazyMoviN. All he really has are the infestors right now.
DeMusliM going to try and drop at the same time. There are a couple of spine crawlers waiting for this, though.
Spines,
yeah, and it looks like CrazyMoviN going to continue to push in with those Broodlords. Tanks pretty much going to move up to their doom, but they do take a couple of infestors with them.
Yep. What are those tanks doing? All right.
I don't really know.
Doesn't matter. Another Broodlord goes down. The fungal does stop the rest of those Marines cold. And DeMusliM supply is dwindling rapidly. Ton of Banelings being morphed right underneath the medevacs. CrazyMoviN doesn't care, man.
Right. And those are actually going to morph in. There's the GG, and Affinity 7 has taken their second game of the set. It is now 4-2, and DeMusliM has been knocked out of this match.
Yeah, not doing bad at all. I mean, he